times people have told me to relax when I'm stressed, when my cello technique isn't quite right, when I'm sparring, and I always nod along like, yeah, I'll relax, because that sounds like a perfectly reasonable thing to do. But I have a bit of a confession to make. I don't actually know what relaxing is, and I have no idea how to do it. Hello and welcome to Sooth Noise Coaching. My name is Lee and I'm a leadership coach specialising in growing the careers of driven mid to senior neurospices. And today I'm trying to be a bit more chill with my video, and I'm not going to reference a load of papers. I'm going to talk about my own experience and my own struggles with trying to relax, as if I have ever been chill about anything in my life. Like many of my clients, I walk that line between being ADHD and being a type A personality, and that relationship is somewhat mediated by my autism and my giftedness, and that combination and everything that is going on inside my brain at all times leads me to a place where I'm just kind of confused about what relaxing actually is, and apparently can't even say the word relaxing properly. And so I've had to kind of change how I conceptualise and think about relaxing over the year, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. Incidentally as well, when I was going through my self-discovery ahead of my ADHD diagnosis, like I had the diagnosis booked in, I was actually completely avoiding watching anything to do with ADHD on YouTube at all. But one video did get me to click, and that was actually a video called The Struggle to Relax Why ADHD Makes It Tough by Jessica McCabe of How to ADHD. So, you know, this topic really gets to me. That video was one of those watershed moments for me. One of those moments when you can realise that your whole view on life has changed as a result, because not only did it give me some new thoughts and new perspectives for thinking about how I conceptualise relaxation, which I'll talk to you a little bit about later, but it also made me realise that, yeah, I probably did have ADHD, and then I got the diagnosis to confirm it just a month later. I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that I was diagnosed with 2E, which means twice exceptional, and that's because I'm gifted as well as being ADHD, and I'm kind of trying to come to terms with the fact that saying that is not braggy. It's not like, giftedness has its pros and its cons, and it's okay to acknowledge that and realise that understanding that is part of working with my brain. But I'm going a bit off topic here. I'm a work in progress. Back to the point, the giftedness is irrelevant here. But the combination of giftedness and an inability to relax meant that I was always finding something to do with my time. It meant that I didn't actually find it that hard to executive function on my schoolwork, because I didn't mind it that much. I didn't really find it that hard to get it done. Or if I did, then I could usually start later in the lesson and have caught up by the end of the lesson pretty quickly as a result. And when I had finished my work, I didn't just like stare off into space, daydream like that stereotypical little girl with ADHD who's away with the fairies. You know, I had a notebook on me and I was writing stories that I started last week, or I was writing that song idea that was in my head, or just practicing my meagre art skills, whatever it was. I was finding something to keep my brain engaged, to keep going, so that I wasn't just getting bored and playing up and distracting other people. Because downtime for me, and for many of us with ADHD, isn't actually downtime in the traditional way that other people think of downtime. You know, I've always been confused with the idea of going on a holiday just to go to the beach, to sit on the beach all day, and I still don't know what people do on the beach all day, because to me that just seems boring. Like, I don't understand the concept of listening to music to relax. I don't understand the concept of like staring out the window and watching the world go by to relax, or anything like that, because that's not what relaxing is to me. Jessica McCabe talks about all of these things requiring self-regulation, and that what looks like doing nothing for us isn't actually doing nothing, because we have to force ourselves to do nothing. It takes self-regulation, it takes executive function to appear like we're doing nothing, and all of that is effort. It's not actually relaxing. Because when you're someone who is high energy with a busy brain, these kind of things aren't actually relaxing, they're actually just kind of boring. And for us, boring is the worst thing. Is torture. I mean, I'm exaggerating slightly, but it's pretty bad. We really struggle with being bored, and when I'm bored, it wells up a lot of negative emotions, a lot of restlessness, a lot of just not feeling great. And I know for a fact that my mum used to hate bored Lee when she was a child, and my partner sometimes gets a little bit frustrated when she occasionally rears her head now, because I always need to be doing something, because I cannot stand boredom. So self-regulating to try and sit in a place that I find boring? Absolutely not. Jessica instead suggests having mind unleashed time, where you just let your brain go wherever it wants to go. It doesn't matter what it wants to do. It doesn't have to be productive. You can just do the thing. Like, I recently took up watercolour painting for a very short period of time, and I really enjoyed the time that I spent doing it because that's what my brain wanted to go and do. I had to just convince myself to set no expectations for how it would turn out and to just go and use it as my brain unleashed time. Other times I'll read books, maybe non-fiction books because I'm interested in learning something, or maybe fiction just for fun. Or I'll go and exercise to get all that vibrational energy out. Now, some of those things are actually going to look like relaxing, and maybe sometimes they do cross into that realm. But just because it looks like relaxing doesn't mean it actually is relaxing. I'll give you an example. So one time I was sat on the sofa playing my Switch, probably Pokemon or Stardew Valley or something like that, and I had my headphones on, and it looked like I was relaxing up until the point where I turned to my partner, took them off, and spewed out a load of information about business and marketing, because I'd just been listening to a marketing podcast and my brain was spinning, absorbing all of that stuff going on in that podcast. But it looked like I was relaxing. On the other hand, I can be super deeply engrossed in a TV show and look like I'm just chilling watching the TV show, when really I'm completely emotionally caught up in the characters and what they're going through and the situation, and it's not a relaxing experience for me. It's enjoyable, but it's emotionally intense as well. One of the concepts that I've alluded to a lot in this video is the idea of a spinning brain, a brain that just does not stop whirring around, and that's something that I very much have, and it's pretty common in ADHD. And one of the downsides is that it can keep spinning all the way into the night when we're physically tired, but our brains aren't mentally tired yet because they're still going, which can make it really hard to sleep, which can be a really big impact on the next day. Now, I know the answer for this situation because I've been told it time and time again, and I've tried it. I've really actually tried it, and I just know that it just doesn't work for me, and that is mindfulness meditation. I know it's amazing for ADHD, I know. It just doesn't work for me. Let me tell you why. So you're telling me to meditate, I need to focus on my breath, so I start focusing on my breath, but that's kind of boring, so my brain starts to spin out and do other things. And so you tell me actually we're trying to reduce the number of thoughts in our brain. I know this is wrong. We're trying to reduce the number of thoughts in our brain, so just don't think as much. So I try and do that, but I'm having more and more thoughts spiraling. And so you correctly tell me that actually what I should be doing is just noticing the thoughts and letting them go. So then I start noticing the thoughts, but then I start noticing how I'm noticing the thoughts, and then I'm thinking about the fact that I'm thinking about noticing the thoughts, and then I end up in this big thought spiral that is incredibly frustrating in itself. And so I'm getting annoyed at myself, but you're telling me not to get annoyed at what's going on and to just accept what's going on, which means that you're telling me to emotionally regulate, and wow, that's a lot of executive function spoons to be spending on just doing some meditation. I'm poking fun here, but I'm not actually trying to bash meditation, and I know some of the stuff that I mentioned earlier is not doing it right and all that kind of stuff. That's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm just trying to explain why it's not good a fit for me. But actually what I can get behind is mindfulness as a concept of being in the moment. That's something that I can actually use instead of trying to meditate and do it the right way. So what does my mindfulness actually look like? Well, it's active. It can be doing exercise. It can be going for a walk and just feeling how much I enjoy moving my body. Or it can be doing yoga and focusing on the breath, not just for the sake of focusing on the breath, but because of the way that it benefits to stretch and how it feels in my body and gets me feeling gooey like jelly afterwards. It's perhaps a contradiction as well that in some ways I kind of find my jiu-jitsu relaxing. Let me explain this. So I'm constantly fighting off people because that's what you do in jiu-jitsu, you fight people. And I'm new at it, I've been doing it about 6 months, so I'm pretty bad at it, and that's okay. But what that means is that I'm constantly fighting off people who are trying to put me in arm bars, who are trying to put me in chokes, all that kind of stuff that is actually genuinely a bit dangerous. I mean, we do it in a safe way, and you tap if you want out. But it puts your body into that kind of fight or flight mode because you are having a fight. And what that means is there's no time to spin. It doesn't allow space for your brain to keep those spinning thoughts. It means you're focused in the moment, and all that chaos going on, it just kind of stops. And in a way, that's kind of relaxing. So I could conclude here and say that relaxation is something that looks a bit different for me in specific and ADHD in general. But actually, I want to carry on with some more thoughts here, because I actually want to ask the question, is it a bad thing that we can't relax in the normalised sense of the word relax? Because the time I spend relaxing in my own special way is a time that I spend growing, it's a time that I spend learning, it's a time that I spend diving into new things, developing new skills or all sorts of new learnings that I wouldn't do otherwise. And even if it's not immediately productive, and I mean sometimes it is productive, but even if it's not, that all goes into me as a person and my development, even if it doesn't appear immediately useful. And this inability to relax causes something else in me and in many of my clients as well. It causes a drive, a pull to do things, to take on projects, to try new things, and it causes us to set big goals that we are driven towards and pulled by. And we have to be careful because sometimes it can be too much. We're pulled to do too much, we're pushing too hard, and we obviously don't want to get in a position to be burnt out. But I wouldn't have done anywhere near as much as I've done in my life if I didn't have that ADHD pull to just do things and not relax. And in my book, that's definitely a good thing. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think about relaxing in general? Or what is something you do for relaxing that other people would just find downright bizarre? Let me know in the comments. I wanted to get into a bit of a discussion around physical relaxing as well, as in like letting your muscles relax, and about how poor interoception can affect that, because that's something that I struggle with, but I couldn't quite find a way to get it into this video. So if this is something you have thoughts of, or you appreciate a follow-up talking about this, then let me know in the comments below and feel free to share your thoughts too. Otherwise, you might be interested in going back and watching my video on ADHD and continually switching jobs, especially if you are driven like I am. Thank you for your attention today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.